Hi, this is Gary from Cheetah Transformation, and these are our Smartsheet top tips on formulas. In this video, we're going to cover off some top tips for formulas for those users who are relatively new to Smartsheet. Okay, so our first tip is to use index match formulas as opposed to VLOOKUP formulas. Index match formulas are far more versatile and more efficient than VLOOKUPs. VLOOKUPs you can only look left to right, whereas an index match you can look right to left or left to right. It doesn't matter which way. And also it looks up less cells as well than a VLOOKUP, so it's much more efficient within Smartsheet. So how we do a VLOOKUP very simply is equals index, and then you reference the other sheet you want to bring back, and I'll just find that quickly. And it's here. So what do I want to bring back? I want to bring back the category. And then what do I want to match that against? I want to match it against my unique product code. And then whereas that unique product code in the other sheet, it's within the product code. And then just add in a search of 0 and press return. So there you go. That's how you do an index match formula. Very simple, but very versatile. You can even do index match where you can cover against two separate criteria. So for example, I could match against the product code, but also match against the color if I wanted to over here. So it's, I say, much more versatile than VLOOKUP. So if you're using VLOOKUP, start using index match. So our second tip is around cross-sheet references. So as I've done here previously with the index match tip, I've got this formula here. And you can see within these squirrely brackets, this is my range, and there's two ranges here. But if I actually go back into this and edit this reference, I can actually call this something up here. So I can call that category and say update reference. And then I can go back into it and again do the same to this one. And I'm going to call this code. Now what this enables you to do is, if I actually want to create another index match, for example, so equals index, what do I want to bring back in squirrely brackets, category, match it against my product code, and in squirrely brackets code, press 0, press return, and there you go. So that just, if you look at that formula here compared to this formula, so you know that I'm bringing the category back and I'm looking up the product code against the code. So it's much easier to actually write formulas if you need to. So if I wanted to do an index match, for example, index match against two criteria, against the product code and the color, equals index, and then I want to bring back the category again, and then I'm going to match against the product code and code in squirrely brackets, and then also match it against the color and against color, which I've already set up. And there you go, storage and organization with the brown. And obviously if I copy this down, you'll actually see that there's some invalid values. That means it's not matching anything. So obviously to get around that, I'll put an if error in front of it, but I'm not going to do that for this example. But what you can do is, if you right click and go to manage references, this is where all your references are. So these are the references that we've created, and you can actually manage them in here. One word of note though, you can only have 100 references per sheet. So that's our second tip, cross-sheet references. Okay, so our tip number 3 is around column formulas. So if I wanted to calculate the total stock cost, these units multiplied by the unit cost, this is a simple sum equals sum, that multiplied by that. Obviously if I want to make that a column formula for the whole column, just right click, and there you go. So I've got the total stock cost now. Obviously I've got a 0 up here because I've got this blank row, but I can get around that with some sort of other formula in front of that to mitigate that. However, if I wanted to convert this into a dollar rate, I do equal sum, that multiplied by the exchange rate, and there you go. have that column. But however, if I want to make this into a column formula now, I'm actually going to get this error, this syntax error, because what this formula is trying to do is obviously reference that same cell every single time, which it can't do. So if I drag this down, for example, that's not going to work because obviously it's referencing a different cell every time. So the way around that is to open up your sheet summaries, create a new field, call it whatever you need to. I'm going to call mine exchange rate and say OK. And all I'm going to do is reference that cell there. So within this formula now, instead of referencing the cell within the sheet, I'm going to reference the sheet summary cell. And if I right click now and go to convert to cell column formula, there you go, the column formula now works with using a sheet summary. So there you go, that's tip number 3, using column formulas. Okay, so our fourth tip is around referencing entire columns within a formula. So if you remember our first tip around index match, if I went into here, for example, I could actually reference a small area or actually the whole column. However, when I try to do that within a sheet summary or within a sheet and say, okay, I want to see the total for this column here, you see that I get an incorrect argument set because it can't reference the entire column by just using the header. So ways around that are obviously you can type it in manually, so you need to put it in square brackets because there's spaces within the header title. So total stock cost, square bracket, colon, square bracket, colon, square bracket, total stock cost, put a space there, and that's one way you can do it. But you can see it's quite lengthy, and obviously if you have some complex headers and stuff, then that could be quite a chore to do. So another way to do it would be to, or the best way to do it I should say, startup cost and dollars, and if I just change that currency to US dollars, so what I do is say equals sum, and then I just drag on a couple of lines here and then just take the numbers out of the formula and just press return. So that's a much quicker way to actually reference entire columns within sheet summary formulas. Okay, so our fifth and final tip for this video is to really utilize the Smartsheet formula helper within your daily routines. So going back to this formula here, if you just step into it, you can see that it's saying, look, there you go, so index range, and this is my range, and if you move here, it says, okay, what am I doing? I'm matching, and then moving into here, what's the match type, the search value, what's my range, and what's my search type. So it's really telling you exactly where you should be within your formula. Similarly, over here with this one, you know, my if statement, I'm saying that if this is ticked, then obviously ignore it. Otherwise, you know, do this formula. So you know, if ignore is equal to 1, then if it's true, what I want it to do, I want to bring back nothing, and if it's false, what I want to do, and I want to do this formula here. So you know, one of the things is if you're really new to formulas and you're getting a lot of unpassable errors and some other errors, really utilize the Smartsheet formula helper, because it really does assist you in improving your formula skills. So there you have it. That's our 5 top tips for Smartsheet formulas. Thanks for watching, and for further details on our free and paid Smartsheet training courses, please visit the training and events section on our website at www.cheetahtransformation.co.uk. Alternatively, contact us directly on help@cheetahtransformation.co.uk to arrange a call to discuss your requirements further.